You pull up to the pump on a Tuesday morning, you watch the numbers spin past $40, past $50, past $60. You already know that tank won't last you the week. You drive away with quiet anger in your chest. Something here is rigged against you. The worst part is, you're right, but probably not in the way you think. Every single fill-up, you're bleeding money that should never have left your wallet. Every trip to the station, every highway run, every cold morning commute, your engine burns fuel. It doesn't need to burn. Nobody at the dealership, nobody at the shop, nobody on the news will tell you why. Most people blame the price per gallon. They blame the engine. They blame the brand of gas. They go right on burning $0.40 of every dollar for absolutely nothing. Here's the truth. The way you fuel your vehicle costs you up to 50% of the fuel you pay for. That's roughly $1,000 a year for the average driver. Gone, evaporated, literally in some cases. Nothing changes because you keep doing what the gas station trained you to do. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the old Amish-country fuel discipline. Horse and buggy communities adapted this when they started running generators and farm trucks on gasoline and diesel. I'll split this into two distinct problems. There are two completely different ways your fuel is escaping you. Then I'll give you one permanent habit that locks in the savings. Part 1, the vapor loss problem. This matters first because it's the single biggest leak of money happening to you. You can't even see it. Every time you pull that nozzle, you're losing gasoline to evaporation. Every time you crack that fuel cap, vapor escapes. Every time you let your tank sit half empty in a hot parking lot, you lose fuel. Most drivers have no idea it's even happening. What you instinctively do is this. You run the tank down close to empty. You fill up in the middle of a hot afternoon. You click the nozzle 2 or 3 extra times after it shuts off because you want a round number. It feels logical, like you're being careful with your money. Here's what's actually happening under your hood. Gasoline has a vapor pressure rating. Summer blends sit around 7 to 9 pounds per square inches. Once your fuel temperature climbs past 80 degrees Fahrenheit, raw fuel starts converting to vapor inside the tank. An empty tank isn't empty. It's full of fuel-rich air. Every time you open the cap, that vapor vents straight into the atmosphere. Studies show a poorly managed tank can lose 1% to 3% of its volume per week to vapor alone in hot weather. When you top off past the auto shutoff, you push liquid fuel into your evap system's charcoal canister. This saturates it, triggering your engine to run richer. To compensate, you dump another 5% to 15% of your mileage straight out the tailpipe. Here's the reframe most people never hear. You're not buying gallons. You're buying gallons minus whatever evaporates. The pump charges you for liquid. Your engine only uses what stays liquid long enough to reach the injectors. The correct method starts with this. Fill up early in the morning or late at night when fuel temperature is lowest. Cold fuel is denser, you get more actual energy per gallon, vapor loss drops by more than half. Keep your tank above the half mark at all times. A fuller tank has less air space for vapor to form. Your fuel pump, submerged in gasoline and cooled by it, lasts twice as long. Stop topping off. The moment that nozzle clicks, you're done. Every extra squeeze pushes liquid into a system designed only for vapor. Check your gas cap seal once a month, give it a twist, listen for the clicks. If the rubber gasket is cracked or flattened, replace it for $4. A bad cap alone can cost you 30 gallons a year in evaporative loss. It will throw a check engine light that shops charge $120 to diagnose. Part 2. Combustion inefficiency caused by how you drive in the first 5 minutes after starting. This is about fuel burning badly once it gets to the cylinder. The universal mistake almost every driver makes. You start the engine cold, you let it idle for 30 seconds to a minute because you think you're warming it up. Then you mash the throttle to merge while the engine is still below operating temperature. What happens over weeks and months is catastrophic and silent. Cold gasoline doesn't atomize properly. At cylinder temperatures below 140 degrees Fahrenheit, injected fuel hits cylinder walls as liquid droplets. That liquid fuel washes the oil film off cylinder walls. It slips past the rings into your crankcase, diluting your engine oil. Oil analysis labs routinely find 5% to 8% fuel dilution in engines driven by people who short trip in cold weather. Diluted oil loses up to 40% of its load-bearing capacity. That's how you get scored cylinders, worn cam lobes, and a $4,000 rebuild. Meanwhile, poor atomization dumps unburned fuel into your catalytic converter. The converter overheats trying to finish combustion your engine couldn't. A clogged converter cuts fuel economy by 20% before it fails. Replacement costs $1,200. Most people think idling warms the engine. Actually, idling is the worst possible way to warm an engine. At idle, there's almost no load, no airflow, and no heat generation. You're just sitting there washing your rings with raw fuel. Method 1. Start the engine, give it 15 to 30 seconds for oil pressure to build, then drive away gently. Keep RPM below 2,000 and throttle below a quarter for the first 3 to 5 minutes. Gentle driving builds combustion heat 4 times faster than idling, gets your oil to operating temperature in half the time. This single habit recovers 8% to 15% of your real-world fuel economy in winter driving. A warm engine burns clean, a cold one burns rich. Method 2. Run 1 tank of top-tier gasoline every 4th or 5th fill-up. The detergent packages in top-tier fuel contain higher concentrations of polyethylamine. That's the chemical that scrubs carbon deposits off your intake valves and injector tips. Dirty injectors spray in a stream instead of a fine cone. That stream doesn't atomize. You're back to the cold cylinder problem even when the engine is warm. 1 tank every month costs maybe $3 more than your usual. It keeps injectors spraying a proper conical pattern. Method 3. Manual induction cleaning every 30,000 miles. Use a can of intake valve cleaner sprayed directly into the throttle body. Run the engine at 1,500 revolutions per minute. On modern direct injection engines, injectors spray straight into the cylinder. They never wash the back of intake valves. Carbon builds up on those valves, like barnacles on a hull. That carbon disrupts airflow and changes the air-fuel ratio. It quietly costs you another 10% of your mileage by 30,000 miles, a $9 can of cleaner, 15 minutes in the driveway. You restore airflow that dealers charge $400 to fix with walnut shell blasting. Part 3. Prevention. Here's the one universal habit that locks in every gain from both halves. Once a month, on the first fill-up of the month, add 1 ounce of quality fuel system stabilizer per 10 gallons. Use something containing isopropyl alcohol or a PEA-based concentrate. It binds the water that ethanol-blended gasoline pulls out of the air. It lifts carbon and varnish off injector tips before it bakes on. It stabilizes lighter hydrocarbons so they don't evaporate as readily. A bottle of Stabil or Seafoam or Techron costs $6 to $10 and treats several tanks. Pour the dose straight into the filler neck before you pump. The fuel coming in mixes it for you. That single ounce per month protects your fuel pump from water corrosion. It keeps your injectors spraying cleanly. It prevents vapor and varnish problems from taking hold. Across a year, it saves you $400 to $1,000 in fuel, plus whatever you would have paid for injector replacement or pump failure. Once you start fueling smart, driving the first 5 minutes gently, and treating your tank monthly, you'll notice something else within a few weeks. Your engine will start running smoother and quieter. You'll start hearing every other little noise it makes. One of the most common is a slight rough idle or hesitation when you press the throttle from a stop. That's not a coincidence, and it's not new damage. It's your oxygen sensor or mass airflow sensor finally being asked to read a clean combustion mixture. After years of compensating for a dirty one, most of the time it's a 1-0-minute fix that costs less than $15. If you know exactly what to clean and what to leave alone, if that rough idle or throttle hesitation is something you're already noticing, drop a comment below right now and just say rough idle. The next video walks you through the exact 2 sensor cleaning procedure. The old mechanics used this to bring a hesitating engine back to a smooth purr in one afternoon. Subscribe so it lands in front of you the moment it drops. Once you fix the fuel side, the sensor side is the next domino. Together, they're the difference between an engine that costs you $1,000 a year and an engine that costs you almost nothing for the next 200,000 miles.